Hey, if people were around you on Thanksgiving Day, would they say that you were a positive person or a negative person? Hi, thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Chuck.
And I'm Ashley. Today we're going to talk about Thanksgiving and the holidays.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a few questions. So think about some of the emotions you experienced. Did you feel like a positive person or a negative person? So how you can process through that is just make a list of all of the emotions that you experienced throughout the day. So you can start in the morning when you woke up. Did you feel happy? Did you feel tired, grumpy? Did somebody wake you up or did something wake you up? And you just kind of go throughout your day, at meal times. Were you with people and happy or lonely, or were you judging yourself, or just feeling happy or sad? So then after you've done that, then start to process, reflecting back, would I say the holiday was a good day or a bad day? So for me, I did this exercise and I was surprised because I felt like the holiday was pretty good, but I still had 6 negative emotions. I had 8 positive emotions that I documented.
So 6 and 8, you had 6 what?
6 negative emotions.
6 bad emotions, or negative emotions. We don't say essentially bad, but 6 negative and then 8 positive. So you had more positive than you had negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as I kind of processed through it, it wasn't that I spent more than half of my day upset.
Okay.
But as I went throughout the day, I had kiddo frustrations, or we were stressed and running late, or then whenever we went
busy
somewhere, I felt like I didn't bring quite enough food items. I didn't know there were going to be quite so many people, and so then I was kind of hard on myself. And so even though it was a good day and I didn't hold on to those things completely, I had quite a few emotions, probably more emotions than an average day.
And that's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
That you're thinking about there. You're thinking about where's your energy going, because you're putting energy out there. So are you putting your energy towards having the positive emotions and trying to invest in that? Or it can take a lot of energy to be negative. Have you ever noticed that? Like, you've just been mad for 6 hours and it's exhausting. It can be exhausting to put a lot of energy into the negative emotions. And when you put a lot of energy into the negative emotions, it could almost be as if you can't see the positive opportunities to turn it around. Because once you get in a downward spiral, you guys have probably been there, I've been there, that it's hard to get out of it. It's hard to even see something that's positive.
Yeah. And so, if you imagine grief, like going through something that's really hard, and then you put on top of all of this the normal stressors that come from going to events,
usual.
it just makes it really difficult. So for me, a few years ago, whenever we were going through miscarriage over multiple years of holiday experiences, I really found that the holidays were difficult for me. So back in the summer, we ended up getting pregnant a couple of the years. And, I would wonder quickly, I wonder if I'll tell people by this point, or maybe at the holidays, I'll have a baby bump, or these different things.
Yeah.
And you so quickly turn to, oh, we'll have a baby next year when we go on vacation. And you start thinking about getting new vehicles and all of these different things.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that end up, just wrecking your world whenever things change and so abruptly. And so for me, I remember going to the holidays, and we had one year where everybody had babies, and I was so excited about all these babies, but it was also really, really emotional for me because people kept saying, oh, these people are pregnant, and I had one year where I was pregnant and I wasn't telling people because I was so afraid. And so that made it hard because I felt like I couldn't share and I couldn't, get the hugs and have the comfort that I wanted, but I was
be a part of that.
Yeah, I was also so terrified. And so in addition to all of the details of figuring out kids and where are we going and when are we going and people are going to ask me questions, I also was managing all these different emotions. So I think that for the holidays, I've heard so many people say that it's just hard. It's a hard day and people are relieved whenever it's over. I think it's okay to be relieved, but we want you guys to process, what's really going on, because for us, that's been what's really helped us as we've kind of processed through. So I've had some good days, but I've also had some harder holidays as well.
And I've had something similar to that. About a year ago, I had a mentor of mine, his name is Larry, who passed away. And as I'm doing things during this season, like I'm getting ready for Christmas productions and doing events and things like that, I have a connection to doing those events and thinking about preparing for a funeral, thinking about making a trip to go to Tennessee. So you have lots of things that are connected. And something that I thought of when you said that earlier is you know that we could maybe lose another baby, so you don't want to tell people that we're pregnant during a holiday, or you don't want to celebrate, excuse me, during a holiday, because you don't want to feel like you're going to ruin the holiday in the future if we lose that baby. So there's all kinds of pressure and things that go on, and it doesn't mean you have to dwell on the hard things all the time, but processing and thinking about, why am I having a hard time? What is it that's going on? Being self-aware is like, oh, I'm having a hard time because of this. It allows you to identify and say, this is why I'm having a hard time, instead of just having this generalized frustration and anger, and that's when we blow up. When you don't identify why you're angry, you blow up on something that you're not angry at. So taking the time to focus on what makes you angry makes you more healthy across the board, because you've talked about it before, about how you can't just, how do you say it? That you can't
selectively numb your emotions.
That was it.
Yeah.
What she just said.
So you can't selectively numb your emotions. So oftentimes we'll use substances. You'll use
Yeah.
some sort of sleeping pill, or you'll just go to bed and you say, I don't want to deal with it. Or you can just push it out of your mind. And what happens is we numb our positive emotions in addition with our negative emotions. And so what we find is we don't feel happy. We don't feel anything. And then because of that, we might turn to something else. So oftentimes people will go back and forth between, using downers and uppers. They'll do something to get them to sleep, and then they wake up and they feel groggy and they don't feel. And so they think maybe getting caffeine or getting, something harder will, make them feel alive. And oftentimes they're just kind of running, or we're just running from our emotions whenever we could take the time to process and to work through it. So it doesn't work. Pills don't work to deal with our emotional issues.
It doesn't deal with the issue.
Yeah, it can make us forget in the moment, but we're gonna wake up at some point. We hope, right? We want to wake up
sometimes you don't wanna wake
and
up,
be
yeah.
able to deal with our situations.
Yeah, that sounded way smarter than how I was going to say it. Okay, so that brings us to the next thing. Sometimes we don't want to deal with our emotions. How do you know when do you deal with grief? Is it too soon to deal with it, or if you waited too long? And how do you know when to deal with stuff? Is it too close? Because right after you lose somebody or go through something tragic, it can feel like, well, no, you're not going to deal with it right then, like day of when you experience a tragic loss. You're not going to say, okay, now it's time for me to sign up for a class and deal with all my stuff and move on. No, that doesn't seem right. But after it goes for a long, long time, maybe you become more resistant to deal with it. And that's where, if you've just had this generalized numbing, then it pops up another way. So if you're blowing up or having problems, then it can be like, maybe something else is going on in my life that I need to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. So think about it for you. When's a good time for you to process? Well, it's whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
But sometimes we do need a little bit of a push.
Yeah, what if someone's going to push you to know that you're ready, or push you to realize you need to deal with something? Yeah. So how do you do with that? Now, we're not saying that you have to deal with everything right away, and there doesn't need to be a rushed feeling to this, but you can tell yourself, all right, I'm not ready to deal with this right now, but I'm going to revisit and see if I'm ready 3 months from now, 3 weeks from now, 6 months from now, whatever it is. Making a plan makes it feel like, or it not just makes it feel like, it no longer has the power to be in control of you.
Yeah.
Because when you have this negative, heavy emotion that you're just knowing is there, but you're not telling it when you're going to deal with it, then you give it the power. So you might feel powerless. So how do you take back some of that power? Well, you deal with it, or you decide when you're going to deal with it.
Yeah, I think that's good. So maybe it's finding someone who you love, someone in your support system to help you to find moments to deal with it. We don't have to deal with it all at once.
No, you don't have to deal with it all at once.
But what do we do? When do we deal with it? Those are all questions that we get the choice to decide. And sometimes I think that we decide we're not dealing with things when we really need to have the courage to deal. And so we want to offer you the encouragement that it is better on the other side. When we resist, when we don't face our grief, when we don't face the struggles or the anxieties that we're dealing with, it ends up dealing with us in other ways. Sometimes it's a health issue. Sometimes it's a failed relationship or an explosion that we have. And so I've always wished I had dealt with things sooner whenever I have some sort of explosion. So think about it for you. you know, is there anything from the holidays where you wish that you had behaved differently? And maybe if you dealt with some of the emotions earlier on and got someone as a support system to help you through that, it would have been different.
Absolutely. So there's our challenge for you. What you need to do is take some time, process what it is that's going on. Maybe if you had a hard Thanksgiving that just happened, maybe if you have some anxiety getting closer to Christmas, think about where are you right now. Make a list of the positive and negative emotions and see where you are with it. Reach out to somebody, talk to them about it, reach out to us. We'd like to know just how are you doing? How are you doing with your positives and your negatives? Is your list completely out of balance? Is it pretty close? Where does that need to be? So reach out to somebody. You can send us a message, send us a comment. Just tell us how you're doing. Just want to let you know that we're here for you. We want to encourage you. We want to support you and let you know that as you move forward through the holidays, even if it's difficult, that there's a lot more strength and power inside of you than you may realize. And go get it.